Well, this is my review for the Pressure Pro Eagle 2 series. This particular model number is the E3027HG. This one does have the Honda GX200 series motor, and it has the general pump, which is right here. So there's a few pointers when you pull this thing out of the box I wanted to share with you. If you're just getting delivery on this or expecting a delivery on this, these are some of the things to consider. First thing you'll note is this red plug here. This red plug will be in the general pump. This does need to come out. This is the shipping plug. There are no directions or instructions telling you which is which. And that plug, once it comes out, must be replaced with this oil plug. Second thing I want to point out is the oil plug. The oil plug for the engine is right here. This thing just basically turns out and it's got a dipstick on the end, and it's full, so I'm not going to take it out because it will drip. And according to Pressure Pro, you want to fill the oil to the lower 3 threaded lines on this. Some people say fill it to the top until it starts dripping, but that lower 3 lines is good. Here's the drain plug. This is going to be a 10mm wrench. You want to change your oil on this particular unit after the first 20 hours. On the water pump, you want to change the oil on this after the first 25 hours. Both of those are well documented in the owner's manual. Also in the plastic bag is this male connector. This goes on to the water pump, and this is where your hose is going to go. This is the quick connect right here. This pressure valve is tested at the factory up to approximately 2700 PSI on this unit. There's no need to adjust it. I called and verified that. So just thought to let you know, if you want to get less pressure in a sense, you could actually pick one of these spray heads. All 5 of these come with it. So the 0 one is really a sharp stream, and then it flares more and more and more. Now I saw in another video, this guy had some great points. Make sure when you get the unit that your spark plug is pushed in securely in place. Make sure your air filter is in place. Look inside the gas cap. Make sure there's nothing stuffed in there before you fill it up. I did buy a case of this fuel conditioner by Lucas. This is highly recommended. I call them. And you're not going to put much into that gas tank when you fill it. It takes less than a gallon. So adding a little bit of this with 0 ethanol fuel would be my choice. And let's take a look at the rest of the unit. Okay, so we're looking at the bottom of the unit now. This is the foot plate right here, and the foot plate came assembled to the frame. You do have to put the entire handle into place, but let me show you one small caveat that I had in doing this. There are 4 bolts here. There's one here, one behind it, and then of course 2 on this side. When you disassemble the foot plate from the frame and you slide the bolts out, you might notice that there's a blockage in passing the bolt through. And that's because when the handle was drilled out to put those holes in so it would fit properly, pieces of metal are lodged in there. What I had to do is grab this punch with a small hammer and tap those pieces of metal out until I was able to get those nuts and bolts on there securely. And you notice the arrangement of this. The frame is here, the handle goes in the center, and then the foot plate. Now some other tools you might need are a 7/16 wrench. That will help you tighten these nuts down here. A 3/4 inch wrench. That will help you to put this component on the water pump so you can connect your hose. And you'll notice it's already taped up. It does come that way. One other tool that you might find handy is placing a level on the unit. Make sure you're on level ground. After you put this foot plate in down below, I would recommend you make sure that the unit's level, and if not, go ahead and adjust those bolts until it is. As far as turning the unit on for the first time, after you've put gas in there and have put your oil in here, the engine oil. By the way, there may be some oil in the case, and that's because it is tested at the factory. So if you don't get the full 0.6 liters or the 20.28 ounces in here as it's recommended in the manual, please keep in mind there's likely oil already in there from the factory when this unit was first tested. Have a couple of rags handy. I placed them down here to pick up the oil when it dripped. Here's the on-off switch to the unit. Just go ahead and place it to the on position once you have your gas and your hose connected, and make sure the water is on, and you squeeze the trigger to be sure that water does come out so you can relieve some of the pressure. Next, you want to go over to the choke. Choke is in this area right here on the front. Go ahead and start the unit up with the choke in this position, and the fuel switch should be all the way over to the right. Once you pull the trigger and it's starting to fire up, go ahead and take this choke switch, slide it over, and you are ready to go. Here's a few other parts that came with it. This is if you want to do some soaping or chemicals, if you will. You're going to connect that to the water pump. There's the quick connect 50-foot hose. There's your wand and your trigger handle. That comes disassembled. You do need to put that together. A couple of optional items that I bought is this excellent rigid 18-inch surface cleaner. That cleans a lot of space on concrete and rapidly versus using any one of the nozzle heads. And then lastly, I bought the Stihl rotating nozzle, which is really excellent for corners, tight spaces, and it will really clean things up quite well. Both of those products are online. You can search them out in other YouTube videos. So now I'm going to take this wand here, I'm going to connect it to the 18-inch surface cleaner. See all that mud over there? So the one I just used was a rotating nozzle. It's a Stihl rotating nozzle. This one is made by Rigid. Clip that in. Always check to make sure you don't blow the unit off. Okay, I'm going to start it up and watch all that mud go away. When it's all said and done, it should look nice and clean just like this. This whole area is wet. You can see a close-up of the how bad this driveway was before I started cleaning it. These are some of the areas I quickly blasted as a test with the rotating nozzle by Stihl. This area I just did, so when that's dry, that should look real good. The key with doing this is start from the highest point and work down. You never really want to start at the midpoint, because then you're going to be doing all the work all over again. This is the 18-inch surface cleaner by Rigid. This thing totally rocks. It's great. It's about $165 on Home Depot. save you hours and hours and hours of time from just using a 25 or a 40 degree pressure washer head.